Hi everyone, JB here again with my Did You Ever Wonder series, local history videos. Today's Did You Ever Wonder is some hints of pre-Civil War Fayetteville, things that are still remaining here from before that horrible war. This first picture here is the one of those places. That's the Ridge House, Sarah Ridge House. It's on West Center Street, just off the square, a couple of blocks. And I'm going to step through some of these things for you now. So the first place I want to talk about is Spout Spring or Big Spring. This is actually where Fayetteville began in the 1828s. The McGar family used this spring, and they lived up on the hill. This is where Willow tees into Spring Street. And if you could, to our left and up the hill, that's Dixon Street. That's where the McGars actually lived. Anyway, it's where our town began, as I said, and also later I'm going to talk a little bit about the Bloody Corner, which is the Battle of Fayetteville. I'm not a huge guy on that, but I want to talk about it in a video. Anyway, down here at the spring, according to the books, is where the Confederate cavalry formed for their two charges that day in the Battle of Fayetteville on April 18, 1863. And early in the 20th century, it was the home of A.L. Trent, Albert L. Trent, who might remember from my talk about Wilson Park. Mr. Trent maintained Wilson Park as a private citizen. Well, this was his home. He lived there by the spring in the early part of the 20th century, and it was actually known as Trent's Park right here at the spot. Okay, so another couple of pre-Civil War structures that we have the headquarters house, which is the home of the Washington County Historical Society, built in 1853, 1854 by George Baker. And on the property of the headquarters house there, the Historical Society, we also have the Yale Law Office, built around 1835. Archibald Yale's Law Office used to be down there. In my previous episode, I talked about his home wax house. The law office used to sit kind of northeasterly from that house. If we were down there, I could show you the shrubs that it's at. There's shrubs where the house was and shrubs where the law office was. Anyway, the law office was moved up here. I believe it's 1991. Don't quote me on that right now, but it's the society's headed for that time now. So both of these structures existed prior to the Civil War. And there's the Ridge House, which inside the Ridge House, that beautiful home, I can't quite pin it down, but I think that house was built around in the early 1850s. The house that you see there. Inside are remnants, and they've got them inside a glass case of the log cabin that was there when Mrs. Ridge first came to town with her kids after the assassinations of her husband and all the members and the other members of the treaty party over in Oklahoma and along the border of Arkansas, Indian Territory at that time. And then the other house that's pre-Civil War is the Walker Stone House. This is almost directly across the street, kind of catty-cornered from the Ridge House. And it was built in 1845 for Judge Walker. And I said in my previous one, I think that George Baker may have built all of these, but I'm not 100% certain. But he built a lot of stuff, including one of the courthouses the courthouse that got burned during the Civil War. He built that one. Anyway, Walker Stone dates to 1845. The reason I have 1850 there is because that's the year Stephen K. Stone bought it from Judge David Walker. Another remnant, if you will, this is kind of a hidden one from pre-Civil War days, is what was known as Gallows Hill. That's where legal, at least through the legal system, hangings took place. And from all the descriptions, the best I can think, it's that rise in the middle of the National Cemetery where the American flag stands today. And back in 1845, there was a family named Burnett that the father and the mother and the son were all hung for the murder of a man for theft. I can't remember if I talked about that or not yet, but I will at some stage. They were ratted out by the young daughter who couldn't put up with 3 murders in her home, I guess. Anyway, that's Gallows Hill. And then I've talked about this in a previous one, but I want to mention it again. This is that rock wall along Locust at West Mountain, and in the area where the Fayetteville Female Seminary was. That's the McNair House right there by. This is one that was possibly built by Dave Smith, an enslaved man of Presley Smith, the former sheriff. I don't know this. I don't know if we'll be able to find out or not, but I hope so much that this is that wall. It'd be so incredible to have a wall that old. So that may be a remnant of pre-Civil War Fayetteville right there. And then I wanted to mention East Mountain Cemetery. You know, this is up there off a rock. You know, the back this way from us would be the Confederate Cemetery. And this part over here is the Walker Cemetery, Judge Walker's family. But beyond Judge Walker is what was known as the East Mountain Cemetery. And there are many slave graves up here. Now, Sharon Killian of the Northwest Arkansas African American Heritage Association is leading a project to clean this up, to restore it, to enhance it, and bring it to attention of people. It's probably the oldest cemetery in town, and they refer to it in the newspaper as the oldest city cemetery. But if you remember, a lot of you guys will remember what this looked like. You look at the incredible work Sharon and her group have done up there to clean that area out there in the back. And right in the back of this picture, I'll take you a little close up. You can see the grave of a slave known as only as Sally. And it's a very moving thing to go up there and experience. Anyway, so great work's being done there at East Mountain Cemetery. And one last one here real quick. A couple of remnants of the old Butterfield Trail, which ran from 58 to 61. You might remember 1858 to 1861 that you might remember I talked about before. This picture here is off the trail just north of the Botanical Gardens. If you're on that trail, just not very far from there at all. And it's got a sign indicating this is part of the old Butterfield Trail route. And one of the fun things, I got a book on the Butterfield Trail. And as far as I could tell, based on when they were leaving town, they went down out south and they went right down Brooks Avenue off of 15th Street down there, southwest part of town. That, according to the maps, this angle, that's exactly the route they took, that angle route, just like that to head south, like down to Van Buren and so forth. But that's kind of a cool thing to know that that's probably where the Butterfield stage went out of town there. So I think that was all I want to do with that, because once again, I'm trying to keep these shorter than I've been making them. I've got to be careful. The one I'm going to do on the Fayetteville schools is going to be, I'm going to have to hustle to keep that one short. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, find it informative. Thank you so much for staying with me, and I'll talk to you all soon. If I can get this guy to stop recording, it's always a hassle for me. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.